what we know concerning people, living people, is coming from dead people. And for me, it was, frankly speaking, earth-breaking in my mind, because all I had been taught at the university was not wrong, but it was not completely right.
Modern Western medicine has come a long way since Hippocrates. Yet in medical schools, students still study corpses to learn about the human body and its anatomy. But what might happen if we began to consider the body as the living system it truly is? Jean-Claude Guimberteau is a former surgeon based in the southeast of France. He is well known for using video as a research tool in his study of the living body.
This is a surgical sequence. Huh? You enter the body, you see all of these fibers? You have only fibers.
For over 40 years, he used an endoscope during some of his surgical procedures, a small camera that allows filming inside the body.
Fibers, and then you have here, you have cells. So I thought that we had cells everywhere, but we were full of cells. But it's wrong. It's wrong. And the cells are not responsible of the shape of our body. And I thought at the beginning that the cells were shaping my body. But that's wrong. That's wrong.
So what we thought we knew about the body may in fact be wrong. One important hint lies in the research of fascia.
Something has happened. There's a kind of change, there's something in the wind that is sort of blowing up. And that comes from fascia, and that comes from people seeking another way of feeling good.
Fascia is the fabric of life. It is the structure and flow between all cells, keeping every part of the body connected, communicating, and interacting. Fascia has a solid part, a structure made of fiber proteins, and a liquid part, a flow of water, hyaluronic acid, and other macromolecules. Fascia wraps everything in the body, from each individual cell to muscles and organs to larger chains of movement, all the way out to the skin. Fascia is a living, vibrating, multi-dimensional network that distributes pressure throughout the body. Seen through high-resolution digital photography and computer enlargement, fascia becomes essential to our understanding of living tissue. Guimberteau has recorded more than 1,500 videos which are now available to the research community.
Look, it's going, well, it's the first time I see that. It's going to move. Look, it's moving. Have you seen? So when you are seeing that, look, only for this footage. Look, the frame here. It's going to stretch and to length, to stretch and to length. The fascia is a fibrillar network globalizing, architecturing the body. It's like a tree. A tree is made of fibrillar architecture. We are the same.
The fascia is a bridge that connects all the different elements together, and without considering the bridge, it's impossible to understand the human body.
Carla Stecco is a professor of human anatomy at the University of Padova in northern Italy.
We need to study all the cell, how to answer to the inflammation, to the hormones, to the aging, to the food. And if we understand that, we can really give a healthy fascia and permit to prevent some worse disease in the patient. Because I really think that if we are able to understand all the elements, we can avoid the aging, we can avoid the degeneration of the joint, we can avoid many different pathologies in the organ, in the muscle, in the joints, and consequently it means that we can become older in a better way.
Considering fascia can also be essential when it comes to pain. At the age of 18, Torkil Lassen was in a car accident in which he broke his neck. He was able to return to work after 3 to 4 months, only to be involved in another accident.
I fell off the stairs and I hit my head and my back pretty hard. Since then I have had a lot of nerve pain. It was terrible. It was a living hell.
And they sent him in the scanner at the hospital, and the doctor said that they couldn't see any reason for his pain, so there has to be structural. And the pain got worse and worse, and he got a lot of medication. He couldn't walk, he lost his balance, he fell sometimes down the stairs, he couldn't hold his daughter.
I couldn't live. I had done everything I could and fighting really hard.
Yeah. And then he called me and he said, "Mama, I have decided to take my own life." One day I found an article that says that if you are in a lot of pain all around the body and the scanner can't find your reason, it definitely has to be in the fascia.
And this is where Fascia Innovation Sweden comes into the picture. The company is run by 2 dedicated brothers, Ivar and Axel Bolin, and their father, Hans Bolin. With practice-orientated background, they have engaged in comprehensive research to gain a deep understanding of fascia. And it all started with Hans' innovation of a machine that treats the body with deep wave massage.
When I was 19 and I saw people get rid of pain, and I was like, yes, this is amazing, let's get this out. And people were like, does it work? Do you have the clinical studies? But is the research around this? I don't believe you. And we were like, but we have 5,000 pictures of people improving their posture and balance, and all these cases from people that are, and they were like, no.
We have been trying to explain fascia for the common people for 10 years, and I think it's a human right to know about the living body.
Bente Lassen reached out for help, and Torkil agreed to try yet another treatment. And after 50 minutes, something happened.
I could see, oh my God, what's happening? Because there was running water from his eyes.
What is happening? Is it hurting? Is it not good? He said, my pain is gone. Why are you crying? She asked, and I said, my pain is gone. It's just been going so good now. Yeah. And I get to focus on things and do what I want in my life and be with my family.
Because of results like this, the Bolin family became driven to share their knowledge about fascia.
In the fascia field, they know about us because we made a documentary.
It's all the same human body, and we just have different perspectives on it. And I think part of what's going on here, if we're all talking about the same body, then maybe the issues that separate us are all about language and metaphor. I think this kind of work is starting to allow us to see where they meet. And if that happens, then you'd be talking about global medicine and global health rather than Western versus Eastern and that kind of thing.
The reception was good, people liked it, but then we dubbed it to English, with me and my mother doing the voiceovers, and our English is not perfect, definitely.
Det finns så mycket man kan göra med. There is so much we can do with treatment, diet and nutrition that would actually make people healthy.
Very interesting.
And in 3 months it had 500,000 views on YouTube, and we started getting people contacting us from all over the world, interested in what we were doing.
After 15 years in the industry, the family business is preparing for its next milestone. The idea is to host a global convention on the living body, bringing together participants, researchers and speakers from around the world in the Swedish university town Uppsala.
We saw a lot of researchers, and we came from the practical field, but we noticed that there was like a gap between those two. And then it just sparked a wildfire, like, okay, we need to set this up, we need to do a convention.
I don't really know why we have to do this all the time, but it's why not? I mean, I wouldn't be happy knowing there was something I could do and not doing it if I had the means for it. And yeah, that's why we're doing this. We really want to make a change. The researchers we're bringing here and the researchers we talk to are struggling because they believe that you need a new type of understanding to understand the living body, that the body is actually alive, that it's ever-changing, that things are restructuring and rebuilding.
Why is it your company, that is doing this?
Yes, why? I don't know. I think it's nobody else is doing this kind of event. So you need to combine the living body with the researchers.
This is by far the largest bet we've ever made on anything. And half the time I'm really excited and inspired, and half the time I am really scared. Because there's so many things that could go wrong. This whole concept could be wrong. It could be something that people don't want or that people don't understand. But we're really moving towards the wrong direction. What's interesting is that these researchers coming to this convention actually has ideas how to understand pain in a different way. You'll be connecting it to a HDMI part over here. You'll be standing over here. Okay.
So the researchers that are coming, they are the ones that you have read about, the ones that you have seen in different areas, the ones that have made groundbreaking research.
Well, I am waiting because I am number 2 and I want to check all the technical problems.
It's performance. It's theater. It's exhausting.
Now we've entered the backstage area. One of the core reasons behind this convention is the frustration.
We're just going to go up and talk about what we believe in and what we do.
The frustration that we have seen so many solutions throughout the years, and we've seen so much research throughout the years, but it's not getting through the noise. It just needs more attention. I don't even necessarily say more funds, just more attention.
Då kör vi.
Welcome!
I'm curious. I think it's a new paradigm.
It's just like super excited to meet with the community, with people that can speak the same language as me.
So a negative feedback loop keeps things in an oscillating, comfortable, homeostatic, healthy zone. That's the hallmark of a living thing.
Living things are not machines. They don't break, we don't fix them. To be alive means there's got to be some level of random response in the system.
Neil Theisser is a professor of pathology from the USA.
I started getting interested in fascia, not because of fascia, but I was studying the spaces between the fascial collagen structures called the interstitium. And that was by injecting fluorescent dye into people and using microscopes that could look at living tissue during life and see the byways where this goes, and that had not been described previously. And then we published it. This was in 2018, and Fascia World erupted and said, "This is not new, we've been talking about this." And I said, well, why couldn't I find it in the literature? And now I realize, because the allopathic community had excluded them from publishing.
It's like, no, I'm a liver pathologist. My core identity is I serve my patients. And I do it by sitting at a microscope, so so it's quiet. But that's what I do, I'm a clinician.
We all use different metaphors, different languages, different approaches. So can it be a cultural and linguistic bridge to move us towards a real global medicine rather than Western medicine or shamanic medicine or energy healing? Why are these separate things? There's a single body. Shouldn't we have a single culture of healing?
I'm from Saskatchewan, Canada, and the reason I'm here is because of a lot of the keynote speakers are guys that I follow and heard the work of, and I just wanted to hear the work straight from their mouth. And it's been incredible and a phenomenal conference so far.
I just thought I'd like to meet people, primarily. Like I can see through the internet, but it's a one way. So I'd like to discuss and interact with people.
The concept, what you are doing, and what we are doing, a slightly different approach, but it combined together might be a very good synergy.
Yeah, I come all the way in Bali, so I'm very happy because there is like researchers, anatomists, surgeons, and also like movement therapists like me that really get it, and we can share like insights and knowledge about it.
The science behind this, and this is top-notch science, this is really the newest one. So I'm very happy to be here and have the possibility also to talk to all the scientists.
What do you think have been the highlights of this weekend?
Probably the lecture by this French plastic surgeon on fascia. It was, I can never forget all those photos and videos that he showed.
Because I was trained as a surgeon on cadaver. But when you observe life, things are becoming completely different.
Most surgeons don't usually use an endoscope during surgery. Jean-Claude Guimberteau began using one because he wanted to improve the healing process for patients undergoing tendon reconstruction. At first, he even used a microscope to study his patient. In 2005, he made the film Strolling Under the Skin. When it was released on YouTube in 2023, it reached more than 700,000 people in just 2 years. The groundbreaking film was also what led to his invitation to the first International Fascia Research Congress in 2007.
And so I have been to Harvard, and I present this movie. And it was the beginning of an adventure for me. Using this way of thinking with fibers, mobility, adaptability, a sort of harmonious way of doing the fibers inside your body, you can explain some disease. And you can explain inflammation, edema, or a traumatic result like scars. Scars are the complete disappearing of this harmony of fibers. And thanks to this concept of a global fibrillar network, you can explain it. So you can open the window to different problems never solved in anatomy, for example, never solved in pathologies, never solved in physiology, like aging, obesity. Elias, c'est Jean-Claude. Écoute, c'est pour te dire que nous pourrions avoir un dîner. C'est un restaurant à Gradignan.
I was looking for a job, actually. I had finished, and I was about to go back to Lebanon, actually. And then Aurélien said, go speak to Guimberteau. He's looking for someone.
Surgeon Elias T. Sawaya had never come across this way of thinking before he began working with Guimberteau. As a surgeon, there's no time to contemplate, he says. But seeing the fascia up close was a real eye-opener for him.
The first time I put a mask and went underwater, even though I grew up next to the sea, I was 30. I had the same sensation when I bumped into Jean-Claude filming the fascia with his endoscope and took a look. It was really, for me, the same sensation as discovering the whole world beneath the sea. Yeah. No, c'est vrai. And we don't learn this in med school. Filming the fascia, being aware that everything is interconnected, will at one point bump into this holistic approach. This is what I think. Tell you when, I don't know. But yeah, we'll get there.
But it's going very slowly. Yeah, very slowly. And I think it's better to go slowly than to change everything.
Slowly but surely.
Yes, yes, slowly but surely, yes.
Nej, hej! This knowledge will get out there. But I think the urgency here is to get it out as soon as possible, because pain is a more increased problem, because we are less healthy now than we were a couple of years back.
So my issues began with the cramp, like in my pelvic floor after giving birth, and had been going on for many, many years, and it just got worse by the year. I just tried a lot of things. They tried Botox, they tried acupuncture, I've been trying breathing exercises, but nothing really helped. I never had a moment without constant pain. After years of problems and issues with my body, I ended up in a place where they said that the only way out is to have a stoma.
She has been looking for help for 7 years. She has chronic pain and she couldn't go to the toilet.
I was treated for like an hour or so, and at the end of this treatment I had what I just would say like a big tension release in my, like at the back of my spine. And everything just, not everything, but like a big part of this tension just like dropped. I mean, quite immediately after this first treatment and in the following, my appetite came back. All this nausea that I had experienced, it changed my life in every aspect. It's been such a long journey, and I just hope that other women potentially in my situation, or hopefully at an earlier stage, can understand that there's help to receive. You're not supposed to be in constant pain just because you gave birth in Sweden. I just felt that it was such an unnecessary journey for me to have as well.
We need a change, and the people I've met, the people I've learned from, they show that if we just change our perspective, we can probably solve these things. Not all of them, not all of these billions of people who are suffering, but a lot of them.
This really matters because how we see the body is directly related to how we think about looking after it and treating it.
Sue Adstrom is a PhD integrative anatomist from New Zealand.
I first came across fascia 25 years ago, discovered fascia bodywork, started doing it, blown away by the results. Anatomy is the conceptual foundation of all medical thinking. I think people can gain more authority over their own health and healthcare decisions. They become more autonomous. Healthcare systems all around the world are struggling with overwhelm. So I think when we start thinking fascia, it enables us to add in some treatment approaches, some self-care approaches that are more natural and potentially less harmful, less expensive, more accessible and empowering.
Hold there.
On the plate. How do we explain that really simply? And when I was teaching students, I heard myself saying, body's like a living wetsuit. And I started using that with my clients. And I thought, yeah, this is a really good concept. It's like all they really need to know is that, you know, the flesh is like a garment over the skeleton. It's a onesie. And, you know, and if you've got a sore shoulder, you might have something going on in your hip or in your foot.
Now it's coming.
I think the pinpoint views of science and the high specialism and elitism it's very useful, but we can't stop there. If we're going to do any research, if we're going to be accepting public research funding, we are obliged to make sure that our work is being used to benefit society. Their doctors and Google are going to give them pictures about different body parts, and that's very, very useful. But I think if we're going to explain how it relates to them as individuals and their whole and alive bodies, yes, we need to talk about fascia, but we need to talk about it simply. It doesn't need to be complex.
I'll hope you remember us.
You guys are unforgettable. I presented evidence that the water is absolutely central to everything in the body. And so if you don't take that into account, you lose the essence of how our body works.
Gerald Pollack is a professor in bioengineering and world-leading expert in water and its role in biological systems.
You probably have read that water is merely the background carrier of the more important molecules of life. And I will try to convince you that the opposite is true. I think this conference was fantastic, or still is, because it included so many interesting presentations. So I'm glad to have been invited to be one of them.
I hope to have some exchange to understand how it could be when I observe micro volumes retracting and then expanding, retracting, expanding. I try to understand how are moving the water molecules inside, and that I don't know.
If you focus on dead tissue, it's dried out. So if you look at fascia in the electron microscope, you might see something, but that something may not represent reality. The living body contains water. We talk about our bodies consisting of roughly 2/3 water, but the 2/3 water is by volume. But if you translate that to the fraction of molecules that are water, it turns out there are a lot of water molecules because they're really small to fill that 2/3 volume. And if you line up all the molecules in the body, or all the molecules, for example, in fascia, you'll find that more than 99 out of 100 are water molecules. Many people have asserted that water is nothing more than a background carrier of the molecules of life. But what we found is that water is absolutely central to everything that happens inside the cell and outside the cell, and in fascia too.
Pollak is perhaps most known for his discovery of a fourth phase of water that differs from the usual phases solid, liquid, and gas.
We learned that water has 3 phases, solid, liquid, and vapor. But we found the 4th phase. But this water is actually, because of the molecular structure, is viscous. So you can take an example, raw egg. If you open a raw egg and feel the egg white, which is effectively the cytoplasm of the cell, it's not a liquid, it's gel-like.
The 4th phase of water, often referred to as EZ water, exclusion zone water, is characterized by a higher density, greater viscosity, and a negative charge compared to regular water. This discovery has opened up new possibilities for understanding interactions between cells and biological materials, and has the potential to significantly alter our understanding of any processes involving water.
It's not really a surprise if the water inside the cell is 4th phase water, because 4th phase water is viscous and sticky. It stays inside. And this water, it contains energy. You can't create energy out of nothing. That's a physical law which seems to me reasonable, and I believe it's true. All you can do is convert one kind of energy to another kind of energy.
At the age of 83, Pollak is fully active at the university, running his own research group and exploring the possibilities of extracting energy from water.
And it all starts with a material that's here and the surface, and this is a hydrophilic, water-loving surface. And we start by putting water next to the surface. This is ordinary liquid water. And then we fill the water with little particles, just like that, all over. And what happens over a period of maybe 5 minutes or so is that all these particles get pushed in this direction. They get excluded from this region. And what you wind up with is a zone right here that has no particles, and all the particles are pushed out here. They undergo a transformation from the liquid water to the fourth phase water. It's a massive transition. And this is what we found to be easy water, or fourth phase of water. And we found that it has charge. We found that if you stick an electrode in here, you measure negative charge in this easy region. And these are positive charges are sitting out here. And you know, if you got negative and positive, you have a battery. So it means that this water that we're talking about contains energy. If this water really is what fills your cells, and we have ample evidence for that, then it's an energy source. And later we found that the battery is powered by infrared light. If we're right, then a lot of what we understand to be cell biology is wrong.
Pollak started by researching muscle contractions. Eventually, his attention turned to understanding radiation and energies, and then all processes involving water and electrical energy, climate, eco-restoration, battery manufacturing, and how this works in the body. And this is where the fascia becomes so central.
It may be that the fascia is involved in the transport or movement of water inside the body. You never know that if you look at chemically prepared sections for electron microscopy, because it's dead tissue. When you look at the live tissue, you can see so much more.
There's not a lot of places where this kind of stuff happens, where you sort of can gather all the researchers and talk about fascia and talk about this, but the main thing is the people, is that they are here. They're making this happen.
Thank you very much.
It's amazing. Give him the Nobel Prize already.
Thank you.
We also have to think that Rome wasn't built on one day.
I'm very, very grateful, and I'm inspired. And here's people from Uruguay, from Australia, it's mind-blowing.
First of all, they came. That's amazing that they flew so far to Sweden to go to this conference. But they were also quite alone in their work and what we're doing. Like, they've been reading about this and looking at these lectures and trying new things and getting results, but they were disconnected.
Many emotions.
Many emotions.
Yeah, I'm quite overwhelmed. Yeah, but something happened here. Something very remarkable.
It's the beginning of something. What is it the beginning of, would you say?
Change, the future, talking about the body in a different way.
I think medicine will undergo a revolution, and we need that.
It was a big bet, and it cost like that as well. I believe in honesty. We lost a lot of money on this event. Like, we lost a lot of money, and we've been working hard for the past 2, 3, 4, 5 months to cover up the amounts that we lost. But I will look back in 20 years thinking it was worth it. And it has led to interesting things. It has sparked new initiatives. It has sparked new ideas and new contacts all over the world. So in 6 months from the convention, we're actually in Japan talking about starting up a clinic. And the Japanese government has founded a subcommittee about fascia. So the Japanese government has put fascia in their 30-year vision.
In integrative medicine, in other words, modern medical practice, fascia can become a shared language. When that happens, it's much easier for people to exchange ideas. Research from different fields can start to align and connect more effectively.
At the same time, I really want to learn this method, almost like I want to steal it, or at least understand it. I didn't understand why the fingers of the left hand were touching the right knee, so I was curious about that as well.
We have been so well received in Japan and met so many interesting people, and there seems to be a lot of opportunities, a lot of interest in fascia, and looking at the body as a whole is really something that's probably very traditional Japanese. Like, they have done this for a long time, and fascia is like a bridge between the old and the new.
This includes elements we have seen in research before, but never really treated as central. Things like fibroblasts and the collagen that composes the tissue. These components are involved in various disease states, and by intervening at this level, we may be able to discover new treatment approaches.
I feel like floating on the clouds. Physically, my body feels different.
Instead of looking at things one at a time, I really like the idea of seeing the whole system. I think this way of thinking fits very well with nursing science. And I truly hope that ideas like fascia and integrative medicine can spread both in Japan and around the world.
Our way of looking at the body as a living body, translating research into practical application, working with the machine, working with movements, working with creating flow in the body, is actually quite unique. I think we might be the world leaders of fascia treatment and fascia knowledge, which is a position you kind of want to use in a way. So we're really going out to the world now and sharing what we've done. And if someone is doing something better, then let's do work together. But it's time for the world to see what we have done in the last 15 years. And this event has really sparked that movement to go international.
At the clinic in Bordeaux, Jean-Claude Guimberteau's successor, Elias T. Sauer, is continuing the work of documenting the living body.
Bonjour.
It's an emergency case patient who put his hand in the lawnmower. So this is the instrument we use. Is the endoscope. They don't make them anymore. I think we have the last two in Europe over
here. You have many factors to obtain this kind of exploration. Yes.
It pushes you in our field to be less and less invasive. When I started surgery, we like to expose structures. Open wide, with peel off different layers, to be well exposed and work, let's say, on the bone we want to work. Now, you want to respect everything. You want to go straight to the point, bother as least as you can all tissues, and we find out that patients recover much better with that.
You see the microvacuole?
I'm a plastic surgeon, so I do plastic surgery conferences to the layman in terms of fascias and conjunctive tissue. So when I'm talking to an audience on the floor, out of 20 people, 10 just walk out and go to another conference. Yeah, 5 look at you as if you're a bit crazy, and 5 will come after and we'll go on and talk it out for an hour and 2 hours. So my hope is that surgeons basically open up to the reality of these observations, not just wipe them out with the back of the hand, because that's what we tend to do because we were taught to do that. It's just padding tissue, it's just nearly something that's in our way, okay? No, if it's there, it's for a reason. Well, nature never puts anything anywhere for no reason.
What we know concerning people, living people, is coming from dead people, from labs examination, so dead fragment. So everything is dead, and your conclusions are for the living. It's a sort of very huge paradox. It seemed to be normal. But I think we could do better studying living patient. We can do it now thanks to the technology because it's not difficult. You take an endoscope and you observe.